following is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Entertainment. The Hayden Fry Show, brought to you in part by Amana Refrigeration. When you know exactly what you want, Amana. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Highland Potato Chips, the flavor of America's heartland. Coach, I guess we can say you're off and running into the 90s. 9 touchdowns all again. Congratulations on your first victory of 1990.
Jim, it's very, very enjoyable to see all those young players have an opportunity to play in a ball game. We played 78 or 80 kids in a ball game.
And you got behind early, but I think that just steamed you up a little bit, didn't it?
Well, it was really a blessing because our guys knew that Cincinnati was for real. They had a lot of individual talent, and it was good to be behind and come back.
You said you were going to establish a ground game, and you certainly did. You had close to 500 yards in the ground, 662 overall.
Well, it was good execution on the most part and excellent defense. We accomplished what we set out to do, to win and look good doing it.
All facets of the game look good. The Hawkeyes win big over Cincinnati, and we're going to tell you the whole story on the Hayden Fry Show. So Jim Zabel, stay tuned. Coach, it's kind of hard to say this about a team that gets beat 63-10, but really, Cincinnati Bearcats came at you pretty hard.
Well, you know, Jim, individually, they have some talent. They just haven't had an opportunity to put it together with this new coaching staff. But in time, Cincinnati will have an excellent program.
You could tell when your guys came out in the field, the defensive, the offensive team, they were ready to play. They were hungry for a ball game, weren't they?
Well, I guarantee you, if we can play with that type of emotion each ball game, the results will be pretty good.
Okay, let's take a look. It was absolutely a gorgeous day, 75 degrees. And let's take a look at first quarter action here, Coach.
Well, we started off the way we wanted to, Jim, by getting a sack on the quarterback. That's John Derby, number 31 at linebacker, who's overcome a shoulder operation. And you can see the enthusiasm.
You sure can. Here's Cincinnati in the white uniforms. Once again, great defense.
Our big playmaker, number 71, Jim Johnson, his first tackle for loss of the 1990 season. He led the Big Ten last year in losses.
Matt Rogers had another great day, didn't he?
Matt is an excellent quarterback, and I was really happy to see this particular play. Look at the wide receiver, Sean Smith, get his foot down before going out of bounds.
So the Hawkeyes hold, and here Cincinnati has to punt. They really did have a good punting game, didn't they?
I thought the young men did an excellent job, and they killed this one on the 3-yard line. That early in the ball game, Cincinnati played very, very well. Here's an in sweep by Tony Stewart. You can tell Tony's leg's all right. Very elusive, makes some nice cuts. And a little later on, we'll get to see the 69-yard touchdown run.
Tony Stewart running like he's in track.
Matt Rogers throwing to Michael Tiddley, the big tight end. Michael will become a better and better football player as the season progresses. This is a scramble job by Matt Rogers. Shows his running ability here in the open field. Picks up the 12 yards for a first down.
Well, that option play was something. It was working all day.
Well, that time he was running for his life. Rogers back to pass. You get an idea of a Kenny Ploen pass there, right on the line, right on target.
Okay. We're going to talk to Kenny later on in the show.
That was a very poorly executed play. We should never have thrown the ball. They had a blitz, and the Cincinnati fellow did a great job. Watch Nick Bell, 255 pounds, play off a block and overtake their defensive halfback from behind, throw him out on the 1-yard line.
He was the intended receiver, so he was mad. That kid from Cincinnati by the name of Harris, the defensive back.
Well, Cincinnati went on to score and went out in front 7-0.
So watch the Hawkeyes go to work now.
Another excellent throw by Matt Rogers to DANAN Hughes. DANAN started last year as a redshirt freshman. He's in his sophomore year. He's going to be a tremendous football player.
Yeah, he's getting better and better with every play. And
This is our first carry for Lou Montgomery, the fullback. You see Lou stop, and then accelerate. Within 2 steps, he's going full speed and makes a 21-yard gain.
Well, the Hawkeyes are on the roll here at the end of the first quarter. It's still 7-0, but Iowa comes up to score 4 touchdowns in 8 minutes. What was your game plan for Cincinnati? Was this part of it?
What did you say? Score 4 touchdowns in 8 minutes? That sounds good. I'll buy that.
And 5 touchdowns for the day scored by your quarterback. Let's talk about the option play for just a second. That is kind of a new wrinkle, isn't it?
Well, not really, Jim. We've always run it on the goal line in short yardage situations. We decided to run it out in the field, and obviously it worked very well.
All right, we got the touchdown avalanche starting here now in the second quarter, so let's go back to the film and take a look at the action here.
Well, you know, the cheerleaders, the band, the fans were all very enthusiastic, did a great job of motivating our players. This is Big Nick Bell. Bless his heart, he just can't get it into the end zone. He gets within a couple of feet on 2 different occasions.
Oh, he's like a locomotive going through there.
Well, you can imagine weighing 180, 85 pounds in the secondary trying to tackle someone that large. Matt Rogers on a quarterback sneak for the touchdown.
Man had a great day with 3 touchdowns.
And I think Jeff Skillett had 9 consecutive extra points. May have set a record.
He did set a record.
Now we go back to defense and find defensive plays. Jason Olenczak, another redshirt freshman, tips the ball, and Merton Hanks, number 45, who could be an All-American defensive back this year, makes his first interception.
Okay, the Hawkeyes on the move now.
Excellent move by Nick Bell outside, running very hard, but once again fails to get it into the end zone. We're going to keep dialing Nick's number, give him an opportunity. This one was so close, so we decided to go ahead and let the quarterback score again. That was Rogers going over the top.
Well, the Hawkeyes take a lead that they just kept building on, never relinquished it.
Well, you can see me on the sideline talking to our new offensive line coach, John O'Hara. Great pressure by the nose guard, Rod Davis, Mike Wells, both played excellent games, Matt Rulin and Jim Johnson.
That quarterback, Anderson, I think, took some bumps and bruises.
Right, well, that was number 8, Leroy Smith. Here comes Leroy right now from the backside. But you see, once again, Jimmy Johnson in the backfield, and Melvin Foster makes a recovery.
Mike Wells was in on that, too.
Mike Wells is going to become a tremendous player, just a redshirt freshman. Well, the big bull takes it in this time. He had to run over a couple of guys.
I think we're going to take another look at this, Hayden, to get an idea of Nick Bell's power. Watch it.
Excellent blocking by Mike Devlin, Ted Belliser, Greg Agater, Rob Baxley, Scott Davis, all those fellows up front.
How'd you feel about the play of your offensive line overall?
Well, for the first game, it's very good. Like defense, the offense has got to improve and get rid of some of the mistakes, but overall it's very good. Another real good hit at the line of scrimmage. And I'm not for sure if, Melvin has the ball, number 66. I call him Phillips Petroleum with that 66 on it. Look at the move Tony Stewart makes here.
Now watch this, Tony Stewart. Yeah.
We had to go 11 yards to get a first down. Tony makes 12. Excellent play.
Here again.
This is Tony. I thought it was going to be a fake, but it was a draw play, was executed so well, and Tony made a couple of good moves and then shifts gears. Really acceleration. You can tell his legs well.
Yeah, he's back to his freshman speed again. He has second thoughts about spiking the ball.
Well, he did. Here's an end zone shot of the same play. Design draw play. Excellent blocking. Michael Titley, Rob Baxley. We had a couple of good blocks you couldn't see on this shot by the wide receivers.
Tony Stewart, 69 yards all the way for a TD.
I'd like to see more of those this year, Jim.
He just had a great game overall. 69-yard touchdown run by Tony Stewart, and that is the end of the first half, 28-10. You're going into the locker room. What'd you say? I'm happy with the way you played? Or?
I'm happy to be going to the locker room with the lead. I can remember a year ago, Jim, it wasn't all that pleasant a feeling. I'm telling you, it's you know, even by the first half, we'd already played quite a few of our substitutes. Right. So the locker room, everyone was so happy and excited, and we never share the stats at halftime with our players, but we did. Just to give them an idea, if we had not had the offensive mistake, the other team wouldn't have had any points at all.
That's right, and the second half, well, even more of the same and better. You stay tuned. great things about a game like that, not only do you win it and win it big, 5 touchdowns coming up here in the last half, but you got a chance to play about 3 or 4 or almost 5 deep in players, didn't you?
Well, at certain positions, Jim, we did play 5 deep, and, you know, obviously we would like to have had the number 2, 3, and 4 quarterback throw the ball, but we didn't feel like we could do it because of the score.
All right, let's take a look now at the second half. Here's Jim Hyzak back to punt, and this is one of these situations where both things that happened to you were good. You had a choice here, didn't you?
Well, Jim hit a tremendous punt, and he was roughed on the punt, and then Maurier Crane, another redshirt freshman, comes up with a recovery. So obviously we didn't take the penalty, we took the ball.
And so here go the Hawkeyes on the march once again.
Well, this is Matt Rogers throwing a check pass to Big Nick Bell, and you can see him run over a defensive man, shows his agility, sidestepping a couple of guys. Makes a great target at 6'4", 255. This is Lou Montgomery's first touchdown of the 1990 season. He's a very happy young man.
He sure is. What a versatile back he is. Lou Montgomery from Waterloo.
Great blocking up front by the lineman to permit Lou to go in standing up.
So the Hawkeyes, you can see their enthusiasm here. Cincinnati with the ball now. That's Anderson.
Great pressure by the entire Hawkeye defense. The young man nearly gave us a safety. In fact, I think Jim Johnson was telling the official that he did. But tremendous defense. I think Cincinnati had 4 first downs the entire ball game. Great catch by DANAN Hughes, number 3. This is Rogers on the option play. Excellent running by Matt to get it into the end zone.
A lot of people didn't realize he was that good a runner.
Well, we haven't featured him that much in the past, Jim, and trying to emphasize the running game, trying to upgrade the running game, our quarterbacks have to run the ball.
Well, the option sure looked good.
Excellent defense again by our linebackers, both Melvin Falter, John Derby, Ted Faley, Mike Daly, all had excellent games.
I think that's Melvin with one of his better hits.
That's right. Jason Dumont, LEROY Smith, Moses Santos, all the defensive ends.
Here's HARTLIEB, the quarterback.
You can see how strong he is. He's built like a fullback, very thick legs, and a typical HARTLIEB. He's a tremendous competitor. Excellent run by Marvin Lampkin.
The Scooter, saw quite a bit of him.
Scooter hadn't worked out much. He's had pulled hamstring, and it was good to get him into the ball game.
Look at that hole there.
Great blocking. We had big Bill Lang, number 1, at tight end in place of Titley on some of the plays, and we just moved him from tackle 3 days prior to the game, Jim.
And Jeff Skillett, perfect on all 9 of his PATs, and Bill Lang has tremendous height, doesn't he? About 6'7".
He's 6'7", about 270. Makes a pretty good target for tight end.
Now here's the strange thing. Kajawa lost the ball. Ferroni falls on top of it. Then Kajawa takes it back again.
That's correct. And with the new rule this year, that's the only way it could happen. The man running with the ball is the only one who can recover the ball in the end zone. I think Mike Ferroni thought he was cheated out of a touchdown because Kajawa took the ball away from him.
Now this was ruled incomplete because they stripped the ball away from him.
Well, it was a great defensive play. We knocked the ball loose, and I think we had about 6 turnovers in the ball game, maybe 7, Jim.
7, yeah.
That would have given us another one. The offensive team rolling again with the option play.
Oh,
great pitch by HARTLIEB. And I think that was to Marvin Lampkin again, number 33.
Yeah.
We're running in all of the backs so much it's hard to keep up. This is another pitch back by HARTLIEB to Lampkin.
Looks good there.
And I think this time HARTLIEB decided just to keep the ball.
We're going to take another look at this run. You get an idea of the power of this kid coming in, second-string quarterback, but you're going to obviously alternated him in this game.
Well, and because of the score, as I said, we didn't want to throw the football and embarrass the other team, but Jim HARTLIEB shows great strength and mobility.
Get off my back.
He weighs about 205 pounds, so he's a pretty powerful guy.
And there you have it, 63-10. You saw all the touchdowns, all 9 of them scored on the ground. So you going to work on your passing game this week or what?
Well, you know, we would love to have a balanced attack, Jim, and but we're going to take whatever the defense gives us. It depends on how Iowa State wants to line up. That will dictate what we try to feature.
All right, Hayden, looking at it overall, you had to be real satisfied from top to bottom. There didn't appear to be, you know, any weakness on any part of it, and everybody played well and lots of depth, so you had to be totally satisfied.
Well, we were, Jim, and of course, you know, we don't want to take anything away from Cincinnati, but obviously the quality of the opposition is not near as great as we're going to face in the future. But Cincinnati did hustle hard, they played hard, they just don't have their program together at this stage, so we're very pleased with our performance, but once again, it has to be diluted a little bit because of the lack of the quality of the opposition.
33 first downs to 4, 662 yards of offense, but as Hayden said, the going gets tougher. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk with one of the all-time Hawkeye greats who was put into the Iowa Hawkeye Letterman's Hall of Fame this weekend, right after this. Well, Coach Fry said he'd like to meet some of the former Hawkeye stars. And Hayden, I'll tell you one thing, they don't come any better than this guy here. Kenny Ploen, Clinton, Iowa, led the Hawkeyes to the Rose Bowl in 1956, MVP, All-American, the whole thing. And I know that you admire Kenny too.
Well, you know, Kenny not only was a great quarterback for the University of Iowa, but he was a great professional quarterback at Winnipeg, played with one of my ex-teammates, Buddy Tinsley, so I followed Kenny's career with great interest.
Looks like he could suit up for you right now.
No question about it. I wish we could work out some eligibility for him.
Kenny, what did it feel like? You're down here, your old teammates, and you're inducted into the Letterman's Hall of Fame on Saturday night. Just a tremendous ceremony.
Well, it's been a great weekend, Jim. There's no question about that. It was a great thrill and an honor to be accepted into that Hall of Fame. And speaking of playing, I know you can't do it, but there's a few little tingles in the spine yesterday. You go into that big Kinnick Stadium and see the old Hawks go at it again. So
lots of memories there, right?
You bet. It was a great weekend.
Oh, Kenny Ploen was, Forrest Evashevsky last year said Kenny was the greatest player he ever had. You played both offense and defense.
Well, yeah, it was a little different game, I think, a few years back. It wasn't quite as specialized at that particular time, and we played both ways, and I actually enjoyed playing defense.
And Hayden, you loved football back in those days. I know that when they did. Here's January 1st, 1957. Let's watch Kenny go at it in the Rose Bowl. And Kenny, I'm going to let you narrate yourself here. What are you doing there?
Well, I'm, as Hayden said earlier, running for your life. I rolled right, and things didn't materialize, so it was just a matter of scrambling out and getting what you could.
Number 11, Kenny Ploen. We're going to see them both on offense and defense. That had to be a highlight to play in the Rose Bowl.
No question about that. That was a short pass in the flat on a flood pattern to Fred Harris, who was one of our fullbacks. He played, he and John Nacera.
Once again, Kenny Ploen.
This roll out right, too much didn't materialize and forced out of bounds, and not too much of a pickup.
But it worked because you were voted the MVP of the Rose Bowl.
Well, it was a great day out there. This is a roll out right and a pass into the end zone to favorite target, great receiver in Jim Gibbons.
He went on a great pro career, as did you in Canada.
That was a quick opener. We had spotted something and just ran a quick opening sneak right up the middle, which picked up probably around 8-9 yards.
You like that play, don't you, Hayden?
I love it. I wish we got that many yards out of it.
Defense.
Well, yeah, that's the other role you played back in those days, and we had a good defensive backfield with us there, and enjoyed playing and hitting of it.
First team All-American, first team All-Big Ten, and Hayden, I know you're proud of the heritage of Iowa football.
Well, I'm particularly proud of Kenny having grown up in the state of Iowa and being a quarterback at Iowa. It's a great accomplishment. Kenny, you're located where? Let's have an update.
Well, I'm still in Winnipeg. Old sunny Manitoba, as they call it. It gets a little chilly up there, but I've made my friends, business career, and things there, and we've kind of called it home.
Gonna invite Hayden and me up fishing or something?
You bet. I'll tell you, if we do, we'll get a hold of Bud Tinsley for sure. Bud loves to do that too, and he knows all the secret spots.
Right. Well, I want to thank the Letterman also. They were kind enough to give me this plaque for 40 years of service. A little bit longer than yours.
I think you deserved it.
Well, I remember some of those games and some of those nights, but your team was one of the all-time thrills. Kenny, great to have you here.
Thanks. Pleasure to be here.
Right on. Back with more on the Hayden Fry Show. Stay tuned. Well, Hayden, you know one thing for sure. Whenever Iowa State comes to town, regardless of records, regardless of who's favored or not favored, it's always an emotional, hard-fought game. How do you look at this one coming up?
Jim, the Cyclones have actually improved each year. Coach Walden's been there. I think they have a real solid program, and they have a very fine football team. But regardless of that, I think the interstate rivalry, it always becomes a little bit heated by game time. among the fans and certain members of the news media, as well as the players and the coaches. And it's always been a very interesting ball game.
You got some special secret things you held out of the Cincinnati game you're going to be using for the Cyclones?
Well, gee whiz, since we didn't have a sellout last week, I guess we'll just hold off on that and hope the fans will come to see.
You going to be healthy, by and large?
Not bad, Jim. Certainly grateful we didn't have any operations in the first ball game. We always worry about that, but we got our nicks and bruises, but we'll be okay. Okay,
we're looking forward to that game. We'll have highlights in the next Hayden Fry Show. Let's talk about the Big Ten overall, because that is really the real season. They played it pretty tough on Saturday, didn't they?
Jim, I think even in defeat, the Big Ten teams did an excellent job. The Michigan game, the Northwestern game, the Purdue game, all lost, but they were excellent games, and then they won some big games, and I think particularly the Illinois 23-22 victory over Colorado was a real jewel.
And Michigan State and Syracuse. Syracuse, one of the rated teams.
Well, that's right. Even though it was a tie, I thought Michigan State would win the ball game, but I'm very happy. We have a stronger Big Ten conference this year.
Okay, in your own ball club, in the capsule analysis here after a first game, 9 touchdowns. Got to be satisfied with that.
Excellent game from an experience standpoint. Excellent game from execution standpoint. A lot of emotion. Our players, I just couldn't be more happy with them at this stage.
Okay, the first Hayden Fry Show, and this is Jim Zabel now inviting you to tune in next week for the Iowa State game. You'll see it right here on the Hayden Fry Show. Tune in. The Hayden Fry Show, brought to you in part by Amana Refrigeration. When you know exactly what you want, Amana. By Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Highland Potato Chips, the flavor of America's heartland. Set furnishings by McGregor's Furniture in Coralville, featuring a Thomasville gallery. Fine home furnishings since 1896 with 7 other Iowa locations. This has been a copyrighted presentation of the University of Iowa.